Did you ever wonder what it's like to go to therapy? Have you ever had an experience with it? Today we have a special guest, Nikki, and I met her literally 5 minutes before we went on air on purpose because I wanted you to know or experience what it actually is like to be in a therapy session, to try to kind of erase some of that stigma of laying on a couch and somebody taking notes and judging you heavily, because it's nothing like that. So stay tuned and come experience a therapy session with me. Let's go down that rabbit hole. Welcome back to Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Alexis Burton. In our previous podcast, I had talked a little bit about my theoretical orientation and how I approach therapy and kind of some tips about if you've never gone to therapy, some things that you should ask, think about asking your therapist and just being in alignment. So a friend of mine and I were talking about this, and we had a great idea that maybe we could have somebody on that is not one of my clients. I've never met her before. I have, 5 minutes before we went on just to give kind of an idea of what was going to happen. And the idea being just to give y'all an idea of what it's like in my therapy room, at least, and many, I'm sure. So I want to welcome Nikki to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Nikki has agreed to do this and be vulnerable, and that is such a big ask, and thank you. Obviously, in a traditional setting, I would go over confidentiality, and I would, because it wouldn't be televised, but I would say, 3 instances where I would break confidentiality. If you say you're going to harm yourself, somebody else, or if I'm court subpoenaed, which I don't have an option but to break confidentiality for that. So in this instance, you've agreed to have this broadcast on social media and everything. You're giving us permission to do this, and thank you for that. So I want to kind of just start out, because I don't know you, I've never met you before, and this is our first kind of interaction. Tell me a little bit about your upbringing. Tell me a little bit about you. In order to understand you, I have to understand where you came from.
Right.
So,
I was born and raised in Loganville.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never lived anywhere other than that.
Okay.
My dad was really abusive to my mom and my stepmom. They were both in and out of jail on drugs. I have a half sister, but she lives in Florida. She's lived there her whole life. So I kind of just say I'm an only child, because we have 2 different dads.
Right.
But my mom went to prison. I ended up going to foster care when I was in the middle of my 11th grade year.
Oh, that's so hard.
So I graduated, I aged out of foster care. But that was actually at the beginning of that, I was really upset and sad, but I didn't know that I had so much trauma and stuff until a few months into foster care when they put me into therapy and stuff. So that helped a lot. And then after I graduated high school, I took about 2 years off, which I really wish I wouldn't have. So I took 7 out of my 14 prereq for dental hygiene, and I was actually the student council president for 3.5 years.
Awesome.
And the reason I had took a break or whatever, because I had gotten pregnant and I didn't want to deliver in the middle of the semester, because I know that if I was to fail, it would plummet my GPA, and it's easier to your GPA to go down than you to get your GPA back up. Yeah. And I really wanted to kind of take that time to be a mother and breastfeed and get to know my child. And so I took that semester off, planned on going back, and then I found out I was pregnant when my oldest son was 4 months old. So I was like, well, shoot.
That's back to back.
I know. They're 13 and a half months apart.
You deserve a medal just for that.
10-10, don't recommend that, but
yeah.
When they say you're fertile, you're really
fertile.
Fertile Myrtle. Yeah. It's crazy. And so then after I got pregnant, I was like, well, shoot, I might as well just, kind of stick it out and kind of just don't start, because then I'll have to stop again and it'll kind of make it harder. So now that my boys are 3 and 4, they're old enough to be in daycare. So they're in school right now. So I start back January, and I know I'm so excited.
You should be, and proud of yourself too, because that's a really hard step. It's really hard to take that break, especially with kids and that whole transition, and then be motivated to go back. So that's a really big accomplishment.
I've already talked to the this lady that's at school, and she already said that I could take back over like my role of the student council president. Okay. So I'm like super excited about that.
That's great.
And so I only have like half of my prereq left for dental hygiene, and then I start the 2-year program for dental, and then I'll be finished. So I'm super excited about that. I have a 3 and a 4-year-old. I just got out of a almost 3-year relationship. People say I'm like crazy and I shouldn't have went through his phone, but girl, I went through that phone. I don't care. Okay, you get a gut feeling. I went through that phone, and I'm glad I did, because he was like cheating on me for like 2.5, 3 months, and then I brought it up to him, and that's when he broke up with me. And 2 weeks later, he moved back to Pennsylvania and left me with just a whole bunch of stuff, the bills and stuff. So I actually just got approved for a house last night. I'm moving.
That's great.
My boys and I are moving. Oh, and then mind you, so that's not my children's father.
Okay.
So
I got you.
Yeah. So my children's father and I do like 50-50. We have I have 2 weeks out of the month, but he gets 1 week and I get another week. Yeah.
So it's 50-50 custody.
Right.
Yeah.
And so my children's father and I broke up when I found out I was 2 months pregnant with my second. And then I was single up until my second son was about 7 months old. And so my ex was in our life since my second was 7 months old, and now he will be 3 January. So that was a lot. So
I want to just pause for a quick second, just because no coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences. Literally, in my last podcast that I taped, I talked about intuition and that what you had referred to as a gut feeling.
I've been having a lot of dreams.
Yeah, and I talked about dreams too.
They've all came true.
It's not surprising to me because it's a spiritual thing for me, but what I was explaining in the previous podcast is it's your intuition that just right? The difference between intuition and ego. Ego is but what if? That's anxiety driven, right?
Right.
Your intuition is
your gut feeling.
I
just can't kick it.
No, there's just a feeling, and it's different than your normal feelings.
Right.
What I want to say to you is good for you for listening to that intuition. Because a lot of people just dismiss it as, I'm just being anxious, or
I'm being crazy.
Yeah,
I'm being crazy.
Yeah, so they'll kind of change it in some way. So Good for you for doing that. Good for you for addressing it with him. A lot of people don't.
Why?
Fear of abandonment, fear of conflict, avoidant. They don't like,
So they'd rather be embarrassed and be like, I don't know, that's how I am. I don't want to be embarrassed and the laughing stock. Like if you don't have all eyes for me and you're talking to females behind my back, I don't know, like I'm sure these females know that I'm in a relationship and that's like a joke. So, if you're all in, you're all in. If you're not, then bye, so.
Good for you. So, what was, since we're talking about relationship, sounds like toxic relationship.
Yeah, all 3. It's terrible.
All 3 of your relationships have been toxic?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about the others.
So I've only been in 3 relationships. My first relationship, I was actually 14, and we broke up when I was 20, and then I got pregnant when I was 21, and I hate to say that my baby daddy was a rebound.
We've all had them.
But he was a rebound. I love my babies. They are so adorable. They are rebound babies. So I feel like, like the love wasn't really there, because we were only together like 3 months and I got pregnant.
Right.
So my first relationship, he was like 8 years older than me, and I just wasn't mature enough
Been there.
for like a long-term relationship, and I had to hide it from my family because I was 14 and he was like 8 years older than me.
Right.
So that drove a big wedge.
What drew you to him?
I don't know. I believe at love at first sight. I really do. And so the first time I saw him, I actually was in a relationship with his best friend. So he was in a relationship with one of my best friends. And so we met and we just kind of were friends for probably like 2 years, 3 years.
So you got to know each other on a deeper level because you were friends.
Yeah. And everybody was like, oh, you should, because him and my friend had broken up, and then me and his friend had broke up. And so a bunch of my friends were like, oh, like, you should hook up with him. And and I was like, no. And then we just started hanging out a lot, and I just started like really liking him. But ever since I saw him, that sounds so bad, but I was like, oh my gosh, like I just felt like some type of like something towards
deeper
him.
connection.
Yeah. And I was like, I want to pursue that. But it took a few years because I'm not a cheater. I don't do anything like that. And then also I was like, maybe I'm crazy. But that was before I'm into vibes. Like I feel energy and I go off of energy. I can read the room.
I'm giggling because I also talked about that in the last podcast
Really?
that I did.
So-
the same thing.
And so I just felt the energy,
This
and
is
I
proof,
was just
by
like,
the way, y'all. This is proof. Go
It's
back,
real.
You go back and watch the previous podcast. I've talked about all of this.
it's real. And like I've never met you
Right.
before. I don't know anything about
exactly.
you.
And
so
you're saying the things that I actually just said in the previous.
my mom is always like, oh my gosh, you're crazy. What are you talking about? And I'm like, you just, if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. Like there's no explaining it.
You either align or you don't.
Right. So that's how that went. And him and I broke up because we were on and off a lot because of the age difference. We kind of just didn't see eye to eye on a lot. And then the same thing, I went through his phone and it wasn't good stuff.
So we got patterns.
Yeah.
I tell all of my clients self-awareness, pattern recognition,
It's hard, girl.
and then change. Then you can recognize it to change it. So you now recognize some of your patterns of some of the things that happen. Yeah.
And then my children's father, him and I were friends since like 8th grade. And then we kind of just kept in contact just as friends. Well, after my ex and I broke up, my first one, I had gotten my own house, and so my children's father was like 5 minutes up the street from me. So we kind of just rekindled just as friends, and we started hanging out a lot. And then I started kind of catching feelings for him. But growing up, seeing my dad, beat my mom and cheat on her and stuff, I was like, F guys, like I figured they're all the same. And so I just kind of have put a stone wall over my heart.
Naturally.
And so I didn't, I thought I started having feelings for him, and then I backed off. And then the same thing with my friends. Oh, maybe you should look up with them. It might be the best thing ever. Terrible friends, bad influences.
I was just about to say, that might be also a pattern.
Yeah, bad influence. It was the same friends, actually. We're actually not friends anymore now that I've got children, and, we kind of grow up.
Well, you don't align anymore.
Right.
That's that vibration, that energy.
And sometimes children will change people, but sometimes they won't. But they definitely did change me, and so it changed their relationships and stuff.
Yeah.
So we ended up hooking up, and then 3 months later, I got pregnant. And so I was like, well, daggum.
Yeah.
But we also broke up. Okay, that's a pattern. I should not be going through phones. But I find out these guys are cheating, lying, don't care.
So what I'm going to say to you, just based on what you just told me, and I would say to any of my clients,
Stop going through the phone.
I would say, and I say this to everybody, we're here to learn and grow.
Right.
That's our goal, right? I want you to from here on out, from the time you walk out of this studio for the rest of your life, I want you to look at every person that comes into your life, and it doesn't matter if it's me, somebody you meet at a coffee shop,
Okay.
a boyfriend, a parent, a child. I want you to look at it and say, what can I learn from this person? Or what was a lesson that I learned in even examining past relationships, right? So it's all about diving deeper in and really recognizing the pattern is great. Self-awareness is amazing, but then you have to kind of do the work, right? You have to find out the why are you attracted? And I probably already know the answer to that based on trauma work, because I see things from a trauma lens naturally. It's just, because I've had my own trauma, and it's easier, relatable for me. So look at the deeper of what's this person here to teach me?
Okay.
Right? Or what can I learn from that past experience and not repeat?
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? I'm sure because, I know at least in my world, I've had several toxic relationships. So I learned a lot about my patterns and why and how the brain works, really. Typically, you're born into this world knowing nothing. You were taught everything, or you by experience and or your caregivers. Your caregivers were not secure. They were neglectful. They were toxic.
Like I'm still learning. I'm learning now how to cook at 27.
They were toxic. So that's how your brain was wired for chaos and toxicity. So you're drawn to men, and they could be like your mother or father or both. Right? That's why, because your brain's wired for that. That's that you're addicted to the highs and lows. It's the chaos brain. It's the toxic brain is what I call
I've heard
it.
that before, but it's not like
that's exactly
am like,
what's happening.
I'm gonna be with it. So it's, I guess it's like
you don't know. You're not aware.
Subconsciously or something?
Because it's how you were wired when you were little.
Yeah.
Right?
Because I've seen it and I thought, okay,
that's
is okay.
Normal.
This is how it's supposed to be.
That's your normal. That's your comfortable. And when you find, and tell me if this is true, I know for me it was, I would go out on a date, even recently, went out on a date and my brain was like, this is boring. Like, I don't see, like, they could be really good. I mean, he was really good looking. He was really smart. Like, he checked all the boxes, but it was just kind of like,
I don't have boxes.
We'll talk about that in a second. So I was like, my brain automatically, because I grew up in a toxic environment, my brain automatically was like, nope. Not interested.
He's boring. He's too good to be true.
It's because we're addicted to the dopamine, the highs and lows, the chemical roller coaster, if you will. It takes some work to kind of recognize the patterns and create your boxes.
Okay.
You're young. I'm 46. So there's a bit of an age.
Girl, you look good.
Oh, thank you. There's a bit of an age gap there. I've had a little bit more experience and probably, a lot more long-term relationships. So what I've learned was for example, my husband, I was married for 11 years. I've been divorced 10.
That's a long time, girl.
And I love him to death to this day.
Yeah, you love him as a person, but you're not like
I'm
in
not
love
in love
with him.
exactly.
Right,
And I say that. And we co-parent well. We had one beautiful daughter together. She's 19. But what I learned from him, and this is back to the
learning.
What have you learned?
Right.
What I learned from him is he didn't like animals. I am passionate. Anybody who knows me will tell you, I've got 3 dogs and 5 cats.
Okay.
I am super passionate about animals, rescuing. I've been involved with rescue, all of the things, right? And so to me, right now, going forward from that,
that's a box.
It's a box. It's a make or break.
Right.
If I meet somebody and they're like, I don't do animals.
Okay.
I don't do you.
Like,
sorry.
That is funny. Okay.
Next.
Now thinking of that, one box would be, like, same faith. Like my ex-boyfriend, I took him to church for the very first time and he fell asleep.
Oh, that's hurtful.
That got on my
So
nerves.
values.
That's embarrassing.
And that goes back to values and beliefs. You should always find somebody that aligns with those values.
If we
and
can't
beliefs.
pray together, we can't stay together.
Exactly.
Like make or break, I guess. That's my make or break. One of them.
Yeah. Another one for me was I want to be able to travel with my partner.
Right.
I have a passport. I've been to 13 different countries.
Oh, wow.
I love exploring different cultures and immersing myself, trying the foods and doing all the things,
Right.
not just the touristy stuff, but being with the locals. I enjoy that. It feeds my soul. And I had dated a couple people that didn't have a passport, wouldn't get on an airplane, didn't
Boring.
had no desire
Right.
to travel. And now
You guys aren't aligned on the same
and now
wavelength
now it's a
vibes.
box for me.
Yeah.
If I ask, hey, do you like to travel? And they say no, I say next.
Toodles.
Yes. So boxes can be big things or little things.
Okay, I didn't think about it like that. Now
Yes.
I'm thinking.
Yes. So start creating your repertoire of boxes.
Okay.
And the person that you're aligned with will check all of those boxes. There won't be well, maybe that flag's yellow.
Right.
No.
It's either green or it's
It's a hell yes or a hell no. Right? It's either checked or not.
Yeah.
It's not a maybe. There's no maybe in this. Right? And that's how
Right.
you start to build that wants and needs and all of the things.
I definitely get the maybe because now that I'm getting older and I have 2 children, like it's not just my heart and my time that somebody is wasting or hurting. It's my children too. And so I don't like the maybe. We're not getting any younger. So I want a life, I really want a life where it's just not chaos. Like I can just be, live my life and my children can live my life and grow with somebody like my partner and just grow old and think about the future because I don't like wasting my time, especially my children's time.
Right. And it's important for your kids to find a healthy, stable person
Right.
as a positive role model.
And knows how to treat a woman.
To teach them, yes, what it's like to be in a healthy relationship.
Right.
And you also have one of your boxes needs to be they got to like kids.
Okay. Yeah.
They got to be a good
That's
role.
that's probably the first one, girl.
Absolutely.
First one.
100%.
And if my kids don't like them,
Right.
toodles.
I'm like that with my dogs. I know that sounds funny because my daughter's grown, but I'm like that with my dogs. If my
Animals can tell.
dogs don't like you,
They can tell.
you got to go.
Yeah, they can
You
tell.
got to go. And it's happened before. So those are the things tools for you to use. And I know this is kind of a short session of kind of a roundabout.
I feel like it's the beginning of many.
Right.
Hopefully.
Well, maybe, but just kind of tools. And this is how therapy works. And because you'd been in therapy before and every therapist is different. And and what I was saying in my previous about the vibes is you got to vibe with your therapist.
Yeah.
You got to be able to connect.
Yeah.
You got to be able to,
your therapist has to at least understand a little bit.
relatable.
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
and even though there is a definite age gap,
Age is but a number, girl.
sort of, would you feel comfortable talking to a 20-year-old who's never been married, never had any kids?
If I would be comfortable, but he would, I guess, have to check the boxes.
No, I mean a therapist. If you were in therapy and your therapist was 20 and had never been married, no kids, and no relatable experience, do you feel like you could connect? Because I kind of talked about this.
I would have to go off the first. I would have to try one time and
right.
see the vibes.
Interview them, right? You got to see
it
where it's at. Because
Right.
book smarts will only take you so far.
Right.
Right? It's
And
a
you
lot.
can't judge a book by its cover. Just
100%.
because they have their degree doesn't mean
They know
jackety
how
jack.
to use it.
Right.
Right. I've heard horror stories. I've heard horror stories about psychiatrists who have PhDs, and that scares me.
I've had to change my therapist and psychiatrist a few times because I'm just like, okay, they're
They're not aligned.
They're just all book. They're not understanding or thinking outside of the
They're
box.
not building the connection.
Yeah.
You're not
They're
on the same.
small-minded.
They're not on the same wavelength, and I think that's important. I know we're about
Before
kind of
we
at a
get
at a time,
out
but
of time,
yeah,
I wanted
absolutely.
to bring up how you said that I need to change, So my very last boyfriend, I've only had 3.
Mm-hmm.
I only do long-term relationships because, like I said, I don't like either we're in it or we're out. We're in game or we're not.
Yeah.
So I tried to change it up a little bit with him. He was a gamer. He was always inside the house. I ended up becoming a hermit crab. And so I've never been with a gamer or anything. I'm really country, always out in the woods, always outside. And so I was like, well, hey, maybe let's just, and the other two I was with is like a blue collar or something. I don't know. They were more hands-on.
Yep.
Well, my ex was like a financial advisor, banker, things like that.
White collar.
Yeah. So it was completely different in what they like, their interests and stuff. So it was like, let me try something different. Girl, they all cheaters and liars.
They're not all, but look for the deeper pattern. Look at their personalities. Examine the three personalities. Examine in order to, like I said in the beginning,
I hate thinking about it. Once it's gone, it's in the back of my mind.
Well, and you don't have to, but going forward, like in order for me to, what I said in the beginning, in order for me to understand where you're at, I had to understand where you came from.
True.
It's the same with everybody you meet. We're like snowflakes. We're all individuals. There's no two people that are the same. There's no people that think, speak. There are, even twins aren't really identical.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So you have to look at it as, what were their parents like? What was their upbringing like? What were their role models like? How were they taught? Because everything's been wired. You've learned everything like they've learned everything. And so when the next relationship comes, and it will, I know when we break up, we say, I'm never dating again. We all say it. And then we heal and get over it. And then we want to get out there again because humans are designed for connection. Ultimately, we're designed to be connected, not necessarily sexually, but some kind of connection.
Right.
So when the next one comes up, ask the questions.
Okay.
Ask hey, what was it like growing up? Where are you from? You have any siblings? What's your mom like? What's your dad like?
I have a question about that really quick. I don't want to keep you. So
no,
sorry.
You're good. No.
So my first, he was, great family. Second one, not the best, but better than mine. We don't even do Thanksgiving or anything. That's another thing. I hate holidays. But my third one, my last one, oh man, he came from a very rich family, like heated floors, all this stuff. And so I've told him my backstory, and that makes me who I am. I can't help that.
You should never apologize to that. That put the crown on your head. That made you the person you are, the beautiful person you are. So fix the crown, straighten the crown, and tell him to fuck off. Well, sorry, my French, but
you're right. But that's also a thing. Like, so I felt at first we were vibing, but like I don't want to say that they don't have the same background as me, but like he couldn't really understand the struggle that I went through because they've got heated floors.
And there's that misalignment, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so that also became a problem. And so I don't want to be like, okay, my next relationship, I'm going to look for somebody with a crappy childhood like me for them to understand. You know what I mean?
What you need to look for is an emotionally intelligent man. There's your key piece. And what that looks like is somebody, and it doesn't matter their background, anybody can be emotionally intelligent. An emotionally intelligent person, first of all, doesn't hate anybody because it's impossible, because we understand where they came, we understand the background, and it's almost like you more feel sorry for people than be angry and hate them.
I don't want anybody to feel sorry for me.
No, I don't mean you. I mean like they're able to understand on a greater scale where you came from and the challenges that you've overcome and all of the things, and they give you the emotional space to talk about it, to process through it. When you're triggered, they don't get defensive and argumentative.
They're there to help you.
They're there to support and love you, and through that is helping. Right? It's no different than a therapy rapport where I'm here to help and guide. I can't do the work. You got to do the work.
Right.
But if you're in a toxic if you're with a toxic person that's not emotionally intelligent, you say to them, hey, when you did that, it kind of made me feel unloved or whatever the feeling. And their response is, well, I did that because you did this, or they get real defensive and then they get loud and big. That's emotionally unintelligent. Emotionally intelligent person can take the feedback, can hear what you're saying and say, what can I do to make that better for you?
I've never had that. So
Me either.
Really?
No.
Girl, we're in the same boat.
Yeah, me either. But that's what
Are
I'm.
you sure there's like
Yes.
people like that if you've never had
I know
a-
a few.
Okay.
Yes, that's what my next box.
Okay, that's my box
been
too.
added.
That's my box too.
That's literally been added since my last breakup, because I was with an emotionally unavailable person, and that's one of the lessons I learned. When I say look for the lessons or look for what I call them blessings, it doesn't feel like it because it's kind of yucky in the shitstorm and all the things that you go through. But honestly, thank God you didn't end up with him for life.
I know.
You know what I'm
but
saying? So lessons are blessings.
I'm still learning. I'm still trying to figure out what my lessons were from all three of them. I thought my lesson was all guys are shitbags. Sorry.
They're not. They're not.
Oh, yeah.
I know quite a few that are decent. That but
I'm learning in due time. This
and
too
you're
shall
also
pass, so.
and you're also very young. I'm 46. Like I said, it's taken me a long time to get to here and know my worth and know now what I want and what I
Right.
absolutely do not want. What I will compromise and what I won't, because relationships are about compromise. You can't go in with expectations saying they need to adapt to my way of living and and I need to be able to pick control. It won't work.
No.
Right? It's compromise. It's give and take. It's
You see what you get.
Equal.
That's how I am.
It's equal.
What you see is what you get. I'm not changing for anything. You either like it or you leave it. And I've always been told as men, you go through men like a pair of pants. Like there's always going to be a man that's going to try. If your man isn't doing what, XYZ, there will always be another man or another. What you don't do, someone else will.
Well, you're aligned with who you're aligned with, and you're
Right.
meant to be with who you're meant to be with. And when there's chaos and all of that, that just tells me that God's saying,
This isn't your person.
you're meant to learn something here and move on. Learn the lesson, break the cycle. Don't repeat it. It's
Right.
taken me a very long time.
I'm learning, girl. I'm
I'm
learning.
still kind of learning in that. I just repeated a cycle several times with my last one, and I was just like, okay, I'm done. I can't. This is okay.
We got to trust the process.
You get to a point where you're like, okay,
I'm tired of this.
this is not good, and I can't do it anymore. I'm exhausted. So, but all that to say, I know we're kind of running out of time here. I want to thank you
girl.
so much for being on.
Thank you for having
please
me.
come back anytime.
Whenever you.
And keep going.
I'm trying, girl. It's the boys. My boys keep me going.
Yeah.
They're my energy. They're my little energizer bunny. So
get that degree and
Oh,
get
yeah.
that career and get that house and keep going.
I want to show the boys
Keep
that,
shining.
Even though I'm a single mom, you go through this, that, and the other, you can still do it. You put your mind to it. If mom can put her mind to it and go back to school and get her degree, so can you.
Absolutely.
No
Lead by
excuses.
example. Lead by example.
For sure.
So
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. That's our podcast for today. Again, please, please, please subscribe, like, share. If you have any ideas for future podcasts, my email will be up at the end of this. Please reach out. If you have any comments, please comment. And thank you so much for all the love. See you next time.